Last year, I spent 322 days on the road. I flew 350,000 miles. The moon is 250. All the things you probably hate about traveling are warm reminders that I am home.
Welcome back, Mr. Bingham.
I think there's a tone that is similar in all my films in that I take polarizing subjects like teen pregnancy and corporate termination and cigarette lobbying, and I try to do it in an accessible, entertaining way. I'm certainly attracted to characters that require humanizing, and that's what brought me to Up in the Air. I thought the idea of working with George Clooney on this character, Ryan Bingham, a guy who fires people for a living and who wants to live his entire life alone with nothing and nobody, would be an interesting guy to humanize. 7 years ago, when I started writing this movie, Up in the Air, it was in one of the great economic booms. But by the time it came for me to direct this film, we were in one of the worst recessions on record. And it required that I take a more human approach to this story. And what started out as a movie about a man who fired people became a movie about a man who was trying to figure out who and what he wanted in his life. He's not close with his friends, has no one romantically in his life, doesn't have a home, lives on the road. And through a series of events, and upon being challenged by two women played by Vera Farmiga and Anna Kendrick, decides to question whether or not his philosophy is right.
How does it not even cross your mind that you might want a future with someone?
It's simple. You know that moment when you look into somebody's eyes and you can feel them staring into your soul and the whole world goes quiet just for a second?
Yes.
Right, well, I don't.
Well, shooting in an airport is difficult as is. You have to run miles of cable. Everyone, including your actors, have to go through the TSA security checkpoint in the morning. Your equipment has to be sniffed by dogs. And yes, you have thousands of passengers who are trying to get to their flights, and they all want to say hello to George Clooney. In some cases, paparazzi would even buy flights. They would buy tickets just so they could get into the airport and take photos.
Here's the boat, and here's you. Do you want to be in the boat?
Yeah, alone.
I start choosing my songs when I start writing, maybe even before I start writing. I put together an iTunes library that winds up being 100, 200 songs deep that I will hand over to my editor when I start shooting. And then once we start cutting, we find it. You know, you play songs against the scenes and you see what works. I have ideas that I believe going in that hold, and some I'm completely wrong about. On each of my films, I found there's one song that always gets me inspired. That on Thank You for Smoking and Up in the Air gets me inspired to write, and in the case of Juno, put me into the world that I knew this is what Juno's world would be. And oddly enough, in all three cases, none of those songs ever made the movie. I may listen to the same song for 4 hours straight. On this movie, it was Hank Williams' Ramblin' Man.